The warning lights flashed red across the control panel. Captain Taemin leaned forward in his seat, studying the distress signal that had just appeared on his scanner. His small patrol ship was alone in this sector, far from any backup. The signal came from a civilian transport, and according to his readings, it was under attack. His crew looked at him, waiting for orders. There were only 5 of them on this vessel, and they were not equipped for combat against multiple enemies. The smart choice would be to call for help and wait. But Taemin had never been good at making the smart choice when lives were at stake. "Set course for that signal," he said. "Full speed." His second officer hesitated. "Sir, the scanner shows at least 3 hostile ships. We're outgunned." "Noted," Taemin replied. "But someone needs help, and we're the only ones here." As they approached, the situation became clear. 3 mercenary fighters circled a small luxury transport like wolves around wounded prey. The transport's shields flickered weakly, nearly depleted. Taemin recognized the mercenary ships immediately. They were professionals, well-armed and experienced. This was not a random attack. Someone had paid good money for this. "Battle stations," Taemin ordered. "Target their weapon systems. We need to disable them, not destroy them." The mercenaries noticed the patrol ship immediately. For a moment, they seemed confused. Why would one small vessel challenge 3 of them? Then they opened fire. Taemin threw his ship into a sharp dive, avoiding the first barrage. His hands moved quickly across the controls, using every bit of speed his engines could produce. Human ships were not as advanced as some alien technology, but they were built for durability and aggressive maneuvering. He flew like he was dancing, each movement calculated but instinctive. His weapons officer got a lock and fired. The shot struck the nearest mercenary ship's engine, sending it spinning away from the fight. 2 left. The mercenaries adjusted their tactics, working together to box him in. Taemin grinned. They were thinking like hunters. But humans had been prey once, long ago, and they remembered those lessons. He killed his forward thrusters completely, letting momentum carry him forward while he rotated the ship 180 degrees. Now he was flying backward, facing his pursuers. His weapons officer fired again, this time hitting the second ship's weapon array. Sparks exploded across its hull. But the third ship got through his defenses. A heavy plasma blast struck Taemin's vessel amidships, shaking everyone inside. Alarms screamed. His engineer shouted that they had lost shield generators, and the engine was damaged. "Can we board the transport?" Taemin asked. "Sir, we barely have engines. Boarding is suicide." "That's not what I asked." His crew knew better than to argue. They had served with Taemin long enough to understand his nature. When he decided to save someone, nothing would stop him. They managed to match velocity with the transport and attach a boarding tube. The mercenaries were already inside the civilian ship. Taemin could hear weapons fire through the connection. He grabbed his rifle and combat knife, checking both quickly. "Stay here," he told his crew. "If I don't make it back, get this ship to safety and report what happened." He entered the tube before anyone could object. The inside of the transport was chaos. Dead guards lay scattered across the elegant corridors. Mercenaries in heavy armor moved through the ship, searching for something or someone. Taemin moved silently, using shadows and doorways for cover. He had learned to fight in the colony wars, where humans often faced enemies with better weapons and armor. He had learned that surprise, speed, and pure aggression could overcome many advantages. The first mercenary never saw him. Taemin's knife found the weak point in his armor, and the alien dropped without a sound. The second mercenary turned at the noise, but Taemin was already moving. 3 shots, each one precise. The alien's shield absorbed 2, but the third found flesh. More mercenaries came running. Taemin ducked into a side corridor, leading them away from the ship's bridge, where he suspected the VIP would be hiding. He fought like a storm, never staying in one place, using the transport's layout to his advantage. When his rifle ran empty, he used his knife. When the knife was too slow, he used his hands. The mercenaries began to fear him. They had heard stories about human warriors, about their refusal to die, about their frightening endurance. Now they were facing one, and the stories seemed too gentle. Taemin took hits, a plasma graze across his ribs, a blade that cut deep into his shoulder, a blast that threw him against a wall hard enough to crack bones. But he kept fighting. Pain was just information. It could be processed later. Finally, he reached the bridge. The door was sealed and reinforced. Inside, he could hear someone breathing quickly, frightened but trying to stay quiet. He also heard heavy footsteps behind him. More mercenaries. "I'm human military," he called through the door. "I'm here to help you." The door opened immediately. Inside stood a young woman, tall and elegant, with the distinctive features of the Veltron species. Her skin held a faint luminescence, and her eyes were larger than human eyes, a deep violet color. She wore simple clothes, not the royal garments she was entitled to, but Taemin recognized quality and breeding when he saw it. "You're the passenger?" he asked. She nodded, unable to speak. "We need to go, now." The mercenaries were at the bridge entrance. Taemin turned to face them, putting himself between them and the woman. There were 5 of them, all armed, all armored. His rifle was empty, his knife was lost somewhere in the corridors, and he was bleeding from multiple wounds. He smiled. "Come on, then," he said. What happened next would be talked about in mercenary circles for years. The human fought like something from a nightmare, using broken equipment as weapons, turning the bridge's own systems against his enemies, refusing to fall no matter how many times he was hit. When the last mercenary retreated, Taemin was still standing, barely. "We need to leave," he told the woman, his voice tight with pain. "This ship is dying." She stared at him with something like awe. "You're injured, severely." "I've had worse." That was probably a lie, but she didn't need to know that. They made it back to his ship just as the transport's power core began to fail. His crew got them clear seconds before the transport exploded, taking the remaining mercenary ships with it. As his ship limped away on damaged engines, Taemin finally allowed himself to sit down. The Veltron woman knelt beside him, her hands glowing faintly as she tried to use her species' limited healing abilities on his wounds. "Thank you," she whispered. "You saved my life." "Just doing my job," Taemin replied. Then his damaged ship shuddered, alarm screaming again. The fight had done more damage than his engineer had thought. They were losing power, and the nearest planet was pulling them in with its gravity. "Hold on," Taemin said, grabbing the controls. "This is going to be rough." Princess Hei-Wan of the Veltron Empire held on tight as the human warrior fought his dying ship toward an emergency landing and wondered what kind of being would sacrifice everything for a stranger. The crash was violent. Taemin kept control as long as he could, guiding the burning ship toward the jungle canopy below. Trees snapped and broke under the vessel's weight, slowing their descent just enough. When they finally stopped moving, everything was smoke and silence. Taemin woke to pain. His ribs hurt, his shoulder hurt, everything hurt. But he was alive. He forced himself to move, checking for injuries that would kill him. Nothing seemed immediately fatal. Good enough. "Hello?" a voice called from nearby. The Veltron woman. "I'm here," Taemin called back, his voice rough. "Are you hurt?" "I don't think so. My people are more durable than we look." Taemin managed to smile despite the pain. He pulled himself from his seat and moved through the crashed ship. The woman sat in the passenger area, covered in dust but apparently unharmed. In the daylight coming through the broken hull, he could see her more clearly. She was young, probably close to his own age despite the differences in their species. Her luminescent skin was dim now, probably from shock or exhaustion. "We need to get out," Taemin said. The power core might still explode. They climbed out through a torn section of hull. Outside, the jungle surrounded them with thick vegetation and strange sounds. The air was humid and smelled of alien plants. Above them, through breaks in the canopy, Taemin could see 2 moons hanging in a purple sky. "Where are we?" the woman asked. "No idea. Some uncharted moon, probably. The navigation was dead before we crashed." Taemin looked around, assessing their situation. "Can you tell me your name? And why mercenaries wanted to kill you?" The woman hesitated, then seemed to decide that lies would not help. "My name is Haiwan. I am the 4th princess of the Veltron Empire. I was traveling in secret to a diplomatic conference. Someone betrayed my route." A princess. Of course. Taemin should have guessed from her bearing. "I'm Captain Taemin, Earth Defense Forces. I suppose formal introductions are a bit late." "You saved my life, Captain. I owe you a debt that cannot easily be repaid. Just stay alive. That will be payment enough." Taemin looked at the crashed ship. "I need to salvage what I can. We might be here a while." Over the next few hours, Taemin worked, despite his injuries. He pulled out emergency supplies, medical kits, food rations, water purification tablets, and anything else that might be useful. His communication equipment was destroyed. So was the emergency beacon. They had no way to call for help. Haiwan watched him work with growing concern. "You need rest. Your wounds—" "Will heal or they won't," Taemin said. "Right now, we need shelter, water, and a defensible position. I heard large animals moving through the jungle. We're not safe here." He found a cave about an hour's walk from the crash site. It was small but dry, with a narrow entrance that could be defended. Taemin made 3 trips back to the ship, carrying supplies each time. Haiwan tried to help, but she was not used to physical labor. Still, she did not complain. By nightfall, they had a basic camp. Taemin built a fire at the cave entrance using wood from the alien trees. It burned with a faint blue flame but gave good heat. He set up a simple alarm system using wire and small bells from the emergency kit. Then finally, he allowed himself to rest. Haiwan used the medical supplies to treat his wounds. Her hands were gentle but uncertain. "I've never done this before," she admitted. "I've studied medicine in theory but never practiced." "You're doing fine," Taemin said, though he gritted his teeth against the pain. "How can you bear it? These wounds would have killed most of my people." "Humans are hard to kill. We evolved on a difficult world. Pain is just our body's way of telling us we're still alive." That night, they ate rations in silence. The alien jungle made strange noises around them. But nothing approached their camp. Taemin took the first watch, sitting by the fire with a salvaged pistol in his lap. "You should sleep," he told Haiwan. "I'll wake you when it's your turn." "I don't think I can sleep. Every time I close my eyes, I see those mercenaries. I see the guards who died protecting me." Taemin nodded. He understood that feeling. The first time is always hardest. But you survived. Honor them by continuing to live. "Is that what you do when you lose people?" "It's what I try to do." Taemin added more wood to the fire. "Tell me about your empire. What's it like living in 1,000 years of peace?" Haiwan seemed grateful for the distraction. She spoke of her homeworld, of crystal cities and vast gardens, of art and music and philosophy. She spoke of a society that had moved beyond war, that valued knowledge and beauty above all else. Taemin listened, fascinated. It sounded like a dream to him. Humanity had never known such peace. They were still young as a spacefaring species, still fighting to establish themselves in a dangerous galaxy. "And you?" Haiwan asked. "Tell me about Earth." "Earth is complicated," Taemin said. "Beautiful in places, scarred in others. We nearly destroyed ourselves several times before we reached space." We're survivors. It's our greatest strength and our biggest flaw. You speak like you don't think much of your people. No, I love my people. But I'm not blind to what we are. We're violent, aggressive, too quick to fight. But we're also loyal, protective, and we never give up. I became a soldier because someone needs to stand between the worst of us and the best of us. Days passed. Taemin established a routine. He hunted for food, setting traps for small animals, and learning which plants were edible through careful testing. He purified water from a nearby stream. He maintained their defenses and kept the fire going. Haewon learned quickly. She overcame her discomfort with manual labor and started helping with daily tasks. She proved intelligent and adaptable, qualities Taemin respected. On the 5th day, they encountered real danger. Taemin was checking his traps when he heard Haewon scream. He ran back to the cave, pistol drawn, and found her cornered by a massive creature. It looked like a cross between a bear and a lizard, easily 3 meters tall, with teeth like knives. The creature turned toward Taemin, seeing easier prey. It charged. Taemin fired 3 shots. The creature's hide absorbed them like nothing. It was too fast, too strong. Taemin dove aside, feeling claws rake across his back. Pain exploded through him. "Run!" he shouted at Haewon. But she didn't run. She grabbed a burning branch from the fire and thrust it at the creature's face. The beast roared and turned toward her. That gave Taemin the opening he needed. He jumped onto the creature's back, wrapping his arm around its thick neck. It tried to shake him off, but he held on with desperate strength. With his free hand, he drew his combat knife and drove it into the creature's eye, pushing deep, finding the brain. The creature collapsed, nearly crushing him. Taemin rolled away, gasping, bleeding again. Haewon ran to him. "You're insane! You could have been killed!" "But you weren't killed," Taemin said, managing a weak smile. "That's what matters." She stared at him with an expression he couldn't quite read. "Why? Why do you keep risking your life for me?" "Because it's right. Because you're under my protection now. Because—" He paused, surprised by what he almost said. "Because I want to." That night, as Haewon tended his new wounds by the firelight, something shifted between them. She was no longer just a princess he was protecting, and he was no longer just a soldier doing his duty. They were 2 people, alone on a hostile world, learning to depend on each other, learning to care. "When we're rescued," Haewon said quietly, "I will make sure you're properly rewarded. The debt of life is sacred to my people. You've saved me twice now. That debt can never be fully repaid." "I don't want payment," Taemin said. "Your friendship is enough." Haewon looked at him, her violet eyes reflecting the firelight. "You have that," she said softly, "and perhaps more than that, if you want it." Taemin didn't know what to say, so he said nothing, just sat with her by the fire, watching the alien stars appear one by one in the darkening sky. The rescue ships arrived on the 17th day. Taemin spotted them first, their distinctive Veltron design gleaming in the morning sun. He and Haewon had built a signal fire as they did every morning, and finally someone had seen it. "They found us," Haewon whispered, relief flooding her voice. Taemin nodded, feeling strangely conflicted. Relief, yes, but also something else. These 17 days had been hard, painful, and dangerous. They had also been simple. Just 2 people surviving together, no politics, no protocols, no complications. The ships landed in a clearing near their cave. Veltron soldiers emerged, weapons ready, scanning for threats. When they saw Haewon, their formal military bearing cracked with visible relief. An officer approached and knelt before her. "Princess Haewon, thank the ancestors you're alive. Your father has been searching desperately." "I am well, Commander Bo-Ra," Haewon said, her voice taking on a formal tone that Taemin had never heard before. Thanks to this human officer, Captain Taemin saved my life and has protected me since our crash. Commander Bora looked at Taemin with new interest. You are the human who engaged 3 mercenary ships alone? I am. That was either very brave or very foolish. Probably both, Taemin admitted. The journey back to Velthron's space took 3 days. Taemin was given quarters on the flagship and treated with respect, though he could feel the Velthron soldiers studying him curiously. Humans were rare in this part of space. A human who had saved their princess was even rarer. Medical officers examined both him and Haiwan. They were amazed by Taemin's injuries, old and new. These wounds should have killed you, one doctor said. Your species' resilience is remarkable. We're hard to kill, Taemin replied, echoing what he had told Haiwan. He saw little of Haiwan during the journey. She was busy with official communications, reassuring her family and government. When they did meet briefly in a corridor, she looked tired but gave him a warm smile. Everything changes when we reach the home world, she warned him. There will be ceremonies, honors, politics. I'm sorry in advance. I just want to return to my ship and crew. Are they safe? They made it back to human space. Your engineer sent word that they survived. That was good news, at least. Taemin relaxed slightly. When they arrived at the Velthron homeworld, Taemin was not prepared for what he saw. The entire planet seemed to be covered in crystalline structures that caught and reflected light in impossible ways. Cities floated on massive platforms connected by bridges of pure energy. It was beautiful beyond anything he had imagined. He was brought to the Imperial Palace, a structure so vast it could have held a dozen human cities. Guards in ceremonial armor lined the halls. Every surface seemed to glow with soft light. Taemin felt deeply out of place in his simple military uniform. Haiwan met him before the official audience. She wore formal robes now, her hair arranged in an elaborate style, her skin glowing brighter than he had ever seen. She looked every bit the princess she was. For a moment, Taemin felt the distance between them like a physical thing. You look uncomfortable, she said with a slight smile. I'm a soldier, not a diplomat. This isn't my world. You'll do fine. Just be yourself. That's all my father wants to see. The throne room was enormous. Hundreds of Velthron nobles stood in precise formations, all watching as Taemin was led forward. At the far end, on a throne that seemed carved from a single massive crystal, sat Emperor Dalsu. He was old, even by Velthron standards, his luminescence dimmed by age, but his eyes were sharp and kind. He studied Taemin carefully as the human approached and bowed in the human military fashion. Captain Taemin of Earth, the Emperor said, his voice carrying through the vast room, you saved my daughter's life. For this, the Velthron Empire owes you a debt. I did what any decent being should do, Your Majesty. No debt is owed. A murmur went through the assembled nobles. Apparently, refusing imperial favor was unusual. The Emperor smiled. Spoken like a true warrior. But the debt exists, whether you acknowledge it or not. My daughter has invoked the ancient law of life. Do you know what this means? No, Your Majesty. Haiwan stepped forward. The law of life states that one who preserves royal blood is owed a debt by both the individual saved and the empire itself. This debt can never be fully repaid, only honored through continuous gratitude and service. I don't want payment, Taemin said firmly. I don't want gold or land or titles. I just want to return to my duty. What if we asked you to accept a title not for payment, but as a bridge between our peoples? The Emperor asked. You have shown us what humans are capable of. Your bravery, your endurance, your honor. These qualities speak well of your entire species. Taemin hesitated. He could see the political game being played. His actions had created an opportunity for better human-Veltron relations. Refusing honors might be seen as an insult. "If it serves peace between our peoples," he said carefully, "then I will accept whatever honor you deem appropriate." The Emperor nodded with approval. "Then I grant you the Star of Veltros, our highest civilian honor. You are the first alien to receive this. With it comes the right to travel freely in Veltron space and to speak with Imperial authority in matters of human-Veltron relations." The ceremony that followed was long and complex. Taemin stood still as various officials recited ancient words and placed a crystalline star medallion around his neck. The nobles applauded politely. Through it all, Taemin felt like an actor in someone else's story. When it was finally over, Haiwan found him in a private garden where he had escaped for air. He stood looking at the alien flowers, feeling exhausted. "You handled that well," she said. "I felt like a trained animal performing tricks." "I know, I'm sorry. Politics requires these displays." "Is that all this is? Politics?" Haiwan was quiet for a moment. "For my father and the court, yes. But not for me. The debt I owe you is real and personal. You didn't just save my life, Taemin. You showed me what true courage looks like. You changed how I see the universe. You don't owe me anything, Haiwan. That's why the debt can never be repaid. You refuse payment, which makes the debt greater." She touched his arm gently. "I swear by my ancestors and my blood that I will never forget what you did. I will spend my life trying to prove worthy of the sacrifice you were willing to make." Taemin turned to face her. In the soft light of the garden, she looked almost human. Almost, but not quite. The differences reminded him that some distances could not be easily crossed. "Your friendship is the only thing I want," he said. "That's payment enough. You have it. Always." She smiled sadly. "Even when you return to human space and I return to my duties, even when years pass and we rarely speak, you have my friendship, my gratitude, and my respect." He heard what she didn't say. What neither of them could say, not here, not now. "I should leave soon," Taemin said. "My people need me. There's a war brewing in the outer colonies." "I know, I've read the reports." Haiwan looked down. "Before you go, take this." She handed him a blade. It was beautiful, forged from some metal that seemed to shimmer with inner light. The balance was perfect. "Veltron star metal," she explained. "Incredibly rare. This blade has been in my family for 3 generations. I want you to have it." "I can't accept this. It's too valuable. Please, let me give you something, even if it's not enough." Taemin took the blade carefully. "Thank you. I'll carry it always." They stood in silence for a moment, both knowing this was goodbye. Not forever, perhaps, but for a long time. They were from different worlds with different duties. The 17 days on the jungle moon had been a moment out of time. Now time caught up with them again. "Be safe," Haiwan whispered. "You too. Rule well, princess." He left the next morning, returning to human space on a fast transport. As his ship pulled away from the Veltron homeworld, Taemin touched the star medallion around his neck and the blade at his side. Gifts from a princess. Symbols of a debt she believed could never be repaid. But Taemin knew the truth. She didn't owe him anything. If anyone carried a debt, it was him. She had given him something precious during those 17 days. She had reminded him why he fought, why he endured, why he kept going, despite all the pain and loss. She had given him hope. 2 years passed. Taemin returned to his duties with the Earth Defense Forces and tried to forget the Veltron princess. It should have been easy. He had been a soldier for 10 years, and he had learned long ago not to form attachments. Soldiers who loved too deeply suffered too much when they lost people. and soldiers always lost people. But forgetting HFY proved impossible. He received promotions. His rescue of the princess had made him famous, both among humans and aliens. His superiors gave him harder missions, knowing he would complete them. He fought pirates in the outer colonies. He defended supply convoys from raiders. He trained new recruits. He did his duty. And every few weeks, a package would arrive from Veltron space. The first was a book of Veltron philosophy, translated into human languages. Inside, HFY had written a note in careful human script. "I thought you might understand this better than most humans. Your friend, HFY." Then came recordings of Veltron's sacred music, a small sculpture made from crystal, more books. Each gift came with a brief note, formal but warm. She never mentioned the debt. She never asked for anything. She just stayed in contact as a friend would. Taemin tried not to send anything back at first. He told himself it was inappropriate. She was a princess. He was just a soldier. Their worlds were too different. But eventually, his resistance broke. He sent her a smooth stone from his homeworld, worn by ocean waves. The note said, "From Earth's oldest sea, nothing fancy, but it means something to me." She wrote back immediately, "It's beautiful. I keep it on my desk where I can see it every day." Their correspondence continued, growing slowly less formal. She told him about her work. She had become an advocate for stronger human-Veltron relations, pushing for cultural exchanges and joint scientific projects. She was using her position to build bridges between their peoples. Taemin told her about his missions, carefully avoiding classified details. He told her about the beauty of nebulas seen from space. He told her about a planet where flowers glowed in the dark. Simple things, human things. He never told her how often he thought about those 17 days. He never mentioned how he sometimes touched the star medallion under his uniform. He never admitted that he carried her blade into every fight. On the battlefield of a mining colony under attack, Taemin led his team against superior numbers. His reputation preceded him now. The raiders knew about the human who had fought 3 mercenary ships alone. Some of them retreated when they learned he was there. Others stayed and fought, and regretted it. Taemin received the Solar Cross, one of humanity's highest military honors. During the ceremony, someone asked if he was the same officer who had saved the Veltron princess. When he confirmed it, the questions multiplied. Was it true he had fought for days while injured? Was it true he had killed a massive predator with just a knife? The stories had grown in the telling. Taemin tried to correct them, but no one wanted to hear that he had been terrified and lucky. They wanted their hero to be fearless. Only in his messages to HFY could he be honest. "They gave me another medal today. I feel like a fraud. I was just doing my job." She wrote back, "You see yourself too clearly to be a good hero. Heroes need some delusion, but your honesty is one of the things I value most about you." In the second year, a crisis erupted. A human merchant ship fired on a Veltron patrol vessel during a misunderstanding at a border checkpoint. 3 Veltron officers died. The incident threatened to destroy all the progress toward peaceful relations. The Veltron government demanded justice. The human government defended its merchant. Both sides prepared for possible conflict. Years of careful diplomacy began to crumble. HFY sent Taemin an urgent message. "We need someone both sides can trust, someone who understands both peoples." "Will you come?" Taemin requested assignment as a human liaison to the investigation. His reputation helped. His superiors approved immediately, hoping his connection to the princess would ease tensions. The negotiation station was neutral territory, a converted asteroid between human and Velthraean space. Taemin arrived to find both sides entrenched in their positions. The humans insisted the shooting was justified self-defense. The Veltrons demanded the merchant captain be turned over for trial. HFY led the Veltron delegation. When Tai Min entered the conference room, she stood. For a moment, their eyes met. 2 years had changed them both. She looked older, more confident in her authority. He probably looked more tired, more scarred. "Captain Tai Min," she said formally, "thank you for coming." "Princess Haewon," he replied with equal formality. "I'll do whatever I can to help." But later, in a private moment between sessions, the formality dropped. "I've missed you," she said quietly. "I've missed you too. Your messages kept me sane sometimes. The court politics can be exhausting. Knowing there was someone who saw me as just Haewon and not the princess, it helped." "I know what you mean. Being a hero is exhausting too." They worked together over the following weeks, carefully building trust between the two sides. Tai Min talked with the human merchants, explaining Veltran customs and sensitivities. Haewon spoke with the Veltran military, helping them understand human fear and aggressive instincts. Slowly, a picture emerged. The merchant captain had panicked when the Veltran ship's scanner locked onto his vessel. He thought he was being targeted for attack. The Veltran patrol had been following standard procedure, not threatening him. Miscommunication and fear had caused tragedy. Tai Min proposed a solution. The merchant captain would face human justice for reckless endangerment, not murder. In exchange, humans would adopt Veltran communication protocols in border regions. Both sides would also establish a joint training program so their officers understood each other better. It took days of negotiation, but eventually both sides agreed. The crisis was resolved. War was avoided. On the last night before they all returned to their respective homes, Haewon found Tai Min on the observation deck, watching stars drift past. "You saved more than my life," she said. "You saved peace between our peoples. We did it together." "Still trying not to take credit?" She smiled. Some things never change. They stood in comfortable silence for a while. Then Haewon spoke again, her voice softer. "These weeks working with you, they reminded me of our time on that moon. Just the two of us, working together, no complications." I thought about that too. "Tai Min, I need to tell you something. I've been trying not to say it, because I know it complicates everything. But I don't want you to leave without knowing." He turned to face her. "Haewon, I care about you. More than a friend. More than I should." She looked down. "I know it's impossible. You have your life, I have mine. Our peoples are different. The politics alone would be a nightmare. But I needed you to know." Tai Min felt his heart race. "I care about you too. I have for a long time, maybe since those 17 days, probably longer. Then what do we do?" "I don't know." Tai Min ran a hand through his hair in frustration. "You're a princess. I'm a soldier. I have nothing to offer you. You don't need to offer me anything. You already gave me everything that matters. Haewon, be practical. How would this even work? We live in different star systems. We have duties that keep us apart. Your family would never approve. My family respects you greatly. Respecting me as the human who saved you is different from accepting me as whatever this would be." She stepped closer. "Maybe. But is that a reason not to try?" Tai Min wanted to say yes. He wanted to pull her close and damn the consequences. But he had spent his life being responsible, putting duty first, doing the right thing, even when it hurt. "I need to think," he said. "This is too important to decide impulsively." Haewon nodded, trying to hide her disappointment. "Of course. You're right." But before he could say more, an alarm sounded through the station. Emergency broadcasts filled the air. Tai Min's communicator buzzed urgently. A Veltran military faction had launched a coup attempt. They opposed the peace with humanity and wanted war. Their first target was the royal family. Specifically, they were targeting Haewon, calling her a traitor for supporting alien integration. Tai Min's blood ran cold. Where is she safe? Where can we send you? Nowhere, Haywan said, her face pale but determined. If they've moved against me, they've moved against my whole family. I need to get home. My father needs me. Then I'm coming with you. Taemin, you can't. This is Velthran business. You think I'm going to let you fly into danger alone? He grabbed his communication device and started issuing orders. I'm coming. And that's not a request. Haywan looked at him, and something in her expression changed. Fear mixed with determination, and beneath it all, gratitude and love. Then let's go, she said. They ran for the docking bay together, not knowing if they would survive what came next, but they would face it together. The fast strike ship cut through space at maximum speed. Taemin had commandeered it without authorization, and he would probably face court-martial for it. But he didn't care. Haywan was flying into danger, and he would not let her face it alone. The coup attempt was spreading. Reports came in constantly. Rogue elements of the Velthran military had seized control of 3 border stations. They claimed the royal family had grown weak, too willing to accommodate aliens. They promised to restore Velthran purity and strength. It was a lie, of course. The coup leaders wanted power, and they were using prejudice as a weapon. Taemin had seen it before among humans. Fear and hatred were always easy to sell. My father has loyal forces, Haywan said, monitoring the communications. But the coup leaders chose their moment well. Most of the fleet is scattered across the empire. It will take time to recall them. What about you? Where were you supposed to be? Inspecting border territories. My ship was supposed to take me there after the negotiations ended. She looked at Taemin. They knew my schedule. This was planned specifically to catch me away from protected space. Then we don't go to the border territories, we go straight to the capital. That's where they'll expect me. Good. Let them expect you. Let them think they're smart. Taemin checked his weapons, making sure everything was ready. We're going to come in fast and hard. Do you have loyal guards at the palace? Yes. Captain Dongmin commands my personal security. She's absolutely trustworthy. Can you contact her without the coup leaders intercepting? Haywan worked her console for a moment. There's an old emergency channel. It's supposed to be for natural disasters, but it might work. She sent the message in code, using words that would mean nothing to an outsider but everything to someone who knew her. Within minutes, a reply came back. Captain Dongmin was alive, holding a section of the palace with loyal forces. But she was cut off and the coup forces were closing in. We have to hurry, Haywan said. As they approached the Velthran homeworld, warnings flooded their communication system. The coup forces had declared the space around the capital a restricted zone. Any unauthorized ships would be destroyed. They're bluffing, Taemin said. They won't shoot down a ship that might have the princess on it, not until they're sure. You're betting both our lives on that assumption. I've made worse bets. He dropped the ship into a steep descent, using the planet's atmosphere to mask their approach. Velthran's sensors tried to lock onto them, but Taemin had learned a few tricks over the years. He flew like he was dancing, unpredictable, impossible to target. They landed on a private pad near the palace, one that Haywan said was rarely used. Immediately, they were met by a squad of Velthran's soldiers. Taemin raised his weapon, but Haywan touched his arm. They're loyal, she said. Captain Dongmin stepped forward, relief flooding her face. Princess, thank the ancestors. We feared you were already captured. Status report, Haywan ordered, her voice commanding. The coup forces control the main palace entrance and the imperial chambers. Emperor Dalsu is secure in the protected vault with most of the royal family. But we're surrounded. They have superior numbers and heavy weapons. How long can you hold? Hours. Maybe less. Taemin studied the tactical display. The situation was bad. The coup forces had positioned themselves well. Any frontal assault would be suicide, but there were always alternatives. "There," he said, pointing to a section of the palace. "That maintenance corridor. Does it still connect to the Imperial chambers?" Haywan looked surprised. "How do you know about that?" "I studied the palace layout after my first visit. Old habit. Always know your exits." "The corridor is narrow," Captain Dongmin said, "and it will be defended." "Narrow is good. They can't bring their numbers to bear." Taemin checked his rifle. "I'll go first. Clear a path. You follow with the princess." "One man cannot clear a defended corridor," Dongmin objected. "Watch me." But Haywan stepped forward. "No, we do this together. I've been training since we last met. I'm not helpless anymore." Taemin wanted to argue, to insist she stay safe, but he saw the determination in her eyes and recognized it. She had learned from him. She would not hide while others fought. "Together then," he agreed. They moved quickly through the palace, using servants' passages and hidden routes. The coup forces were looking for a princess arriving from outside, not one already inside their perimeter. That gave them an advantage. The maintenance corridor was exactly where Taemin remembered. 2 coup soldiers guarded the entrance. They saw Haywan and raised their weapons, but Taemin was faster. 2 shots, both precise. The guards fell. Inside the corridor it was narrow and dark. Their footsteps echoed. Ahead, Taemin could hear voices. More guards. "How many?" Haywan whispered. "At least 5. Maybe more. Can we do this?" Taemin drew the Velthron blade she had given him 2 years ago. In the dim light, the star metal gleamed. "Yes, we can." He moved forward like a storm. The first guard never saw him coming. The blade found its mark, silent and deadly. The second guard shouted a warning, but Taemin's rifle barked 3 times. The narrow corridor worked to his advantage, exactly as he had predicted. The coup forces couldn't surround him, couldn't use their numbers. But there were more than 5. There were 10, maybe 12. They kept coming, and they were professional soldiers, not mercenaries. They fought smart, using cover, coordinating their fire. Taemin took hits. A shot burned across his ribs. Another grazed his leg. Pain exploded through him, but he kept moving. Pain was just information. He had learned to process it, file it away, deal with it later. Haywan fought beside him, using the weapons training he had given her on that jungle moon. She wasn't as skilled as him, but she was brave and quick. Together, they pushed forward. Then, Taemin saw the trap too late. A heavy weapon mounted at the corridor's end, aimed straight at them. The gunner was about to fire. Taemin didn't think. He threw himself forward, putting his body between the weapon and Haywan. The plasma blast hit him square in the chest. The pain was unlike anything he had ever felt. It was fire and ice and agony beyond words. His armor melted, his flesh burned. He fell, unable to breathe, unable to move. Through blurring vision, he saw Haywan scream. She grabbed his rifle and fired, her shots wild but determined. Behind her, Captain Dongmin and her soldiers stormed the corridor, overwhelming the remaining coup forces. The last thing Taemin saw before darkness took him was Haywan's face, tears streaming down her luminescent cheeks. He woke in a medical facility. Everything hurt. He tried to sit up and couldn't. His chest was wrapped in strange bandages that glowed softly. "Don't move." Haywan's voice. She sat beside his bed, her hand holding his. "The doctors say you'll live, but you need to rest." "Your father?" Taemin managed to ask. "Safe. The coup collapsed once we secured the Imperial chambers. Your action broke their momentum." She squeezed his hand gently. "You almost died. Again. For me. Again. Sorry. Bad habit. Don't joke." Her voice broke. "I can't lose you. I won't lose you. Not planning on dying yet." Over the following days, as Taemin healed, the full story emerged. His unauthorized departure and assault on the palace should have ended his career. Military law was clear, but Haiwan had appeared at his court-martial hearing. She invoked the debt of life for the third time. She argued that Tai Min had saved not just her, but the entire royal family, and possibly prevented a civil war. She used her authority as princess and her position in the succession to have all charges dropped. More than that, she made a radical proposal. She asked her father to create a new position, Royal Guardian, a role that had never existed before, designed specifically for someone like Tai Min. Someone who would protect the royal family but operate outside normal military structure. Someone trusted by both Velthrons and humans. The proposal was controversial. Many in the court objected to creating such a position for an alien, but Emperor Dal Su supported his daughter. The emperor had seen what Tai Min was willing to sacrifice, and he valued that kind of loyalty above politics. Tai Min was offered the position formally in the same throne room where he had received the Star of Velthros 2 years earlier. This time, he stood without discomfort. He knew what he wanted now. "This role would require you to leave human military service," Emperor Dalsu said. "You would live here, in Velthron space. You would be bound by our laws and customs. It is not a decision to make lightly." Tai Min looked at Haiwan, who stood beside her father's throne. She watched him with hope and fear mixed together. "I accept," Tai Min said, "but I have one condition." The throne room went silent. Making demands of the emperor was bold, possibly insulting. "Speak," Dalsu said, curious. "Your daughter speaks of a debt that can never be fully repaid, but I've been carrying a debt too. She gave me something during those 17 days on that jungle moon. She gave me hope. She reminded me why I fight, why I endure all the pain and loss." Tai Min stepped closer to the throne. "She says she can never repay what I did. But the truth is, I can never repay what she did for me." Haiwan's eyes widened. "Tai Min, you saved me as much as I saved you. Different kinds of saving, maybe, but just as important." Emperor Dalsu looked between them, understanding dawning on his ancient face. "I see. You do not just want to serve my family. You want to be part of my family. If she'll have me, if you'll allow it." The throne room erupted in whispers. An alien marrying into the royal family was unprecedented, scandalous, impossible. But Haiwan stepped down from beside her father's throne. She walked to Tai Min and took his hands. "I'll have you," she said simply, "if you'll have me, debts and all." Emperor Dalsu raised his hand, and the throne room fell silent. "My daughter is wise beyond her years. She sees value where others see only difference. If she believes this human worthy of joining our family, then I trust her judgment." He looked directly at Tai Min. "Welcome, Son of Earth. May you bring honor to both your people and mine." The ceremony that followed blended human and Velthran traditions. Tai Min took his oath as royal guardian in the morning, swearing to protect the royal family with his life. In the evening, he and Haiwan were married in a simple ceremony witnessed by both their families. Later, alone in the garden where they had first said goodbye, Tai Min and Haiwan stood together under alien stars. "No more debt," Tai Min said. "We're even now." "We were never keeping score," Haiwan replied. "That's not how love works." "I'm going to make mistakes. I'm human. We're not known for our diplomatic skills." "I know. I'm looking forward to it." Tai Min laughed. Then he pulled her close and kissed her, finally allowing himself what he had wanted for 2 years. In time, their union would become a symbol of cooperation between humans and Velthrons. Their children would be the first truly mixed beings, carrying the best of both species. The royal guardian position would become permanent, with Tai Min training others to serve as bridges between peoples. But that night, They were just two people who had saved each other in all the ways that mattered. The debt had been fulfilled not through payment, but through something far more valuable, through partnership, trust, and love freely given. The human warrior and the alien princess had found their way home, and home, they discovered, was not a place. It was each other.